after so long, I know I can speak on behalf of the committee and endless Skype conferences and face-to-face meetings. It's really quite amazing that it's actually happening. You're all here. It's coming into reality. Welcome to Cambridge. Welcome to EME 2012. By the end of the conference, we'll know how to pronounce that. I'm still wondering exactly why I've been asked to give this keynote address. Obviously, partly because I'm from the host country, well, almost, and we're all so pleased to see you here. But maybe also because I can take a slightly detached view. After about 25 years of doing EME, I've been doing other things for the past 10 years and more. So I haven't been here while EME has been going through that difficult phase of branching out into different operating styles and sub-specialities. So I never had to decide which branch I personally would walk out on. And perhaps most important, I've tried very hard to avoid walking out along anybody's branch carrying a chainsaw. So, from where I'm standing now, a few years detached, but finding myself still involved, this is what I'm seeing about EME today and about this conference. The first thing is every EME conference is a step change. You will not be the same when you go away from here. And the reason for this is it's the one time when EME specialists from all around the world are all physically gathered in the same place. And even in the internet age, that's important. We're with people like us who already know what EME is. And we all know that little speech that we have to give to people say, oh, we bounce signals off the moon, etc., to explain what it is we're doing. We don't have to do that here. Everybody knows what it's about. So we'll be hearing all the papers together. We'll be looking at the multimedia presentations outside together. And having had the privilege of editing the proceedings, I can guarantee that these presentations are going to give you some big new ideas. But the important thing is you can then turn to the person next to you, and that sparks even more ideas. You just start talking. This can only happen at a conference. So we did the right thing by travelling all this way. But we've only got 2 days to do it. So we need to make the best of it. Okay, but while we're having all these technical conversations, something else equally important is taking place. One of the most valuable assets of EME over the years has always been its strong sense of community. And this isn't surprising because we all have one huge thing in common. It's not the moon, it's us. We're the kinds of self-motivated people who look at something which is only just possible. It's not easy and it's not totally impossible. And we say, yeah, this is for me. I want this. We're all the same kind of people in that regard. But there's more to it than that. And once again, it's about being physically present in the same place. How many people were at the first 2 EME conferences in the USA in 1966 and 1968? How many people? Alan was. Yep, and I don't expect to see anybody else. Okay, how many of us can remember the 3rd conference 20 years later, organized by PA3CSG? Yeah, okay, there are more of us. And what Geert did, PA3CSG, in his little hometown of Thorn, was the first conference of this present-day era. But in the 20 years in between, something had happened. It happened quite unexpectedly, I think. Unexpectedly for the person who made it happen. Because in the years in between, Alan, K2UYH, had been writing his monthly newsletter as a way of passing on the results of the previous month's weekend's tests, and they were called tests then, and they were tests, and publishing the next set of skeds, and of course sharing technical information. But that wasn't all. Everybody who had something to say wrote into Alan, and Alan included little pieces of family information and personal information, a new baby, someone had sadly died, and pieces of information like, we would have completed our 12th sked attempt, but my daughter came into the shack and threw up. The reason I remember that was because I was at the other end of that sked. I was not the one with the daughter. But we were making sked attempts. I finally worked WA9FWD on the 13th attempt. And although we didn't know it, we were actually building up mental pictures of one another. So when we met face to face at the very first time at Thorns, it was like meeting old friends. Walked into the room, there was that character over there who's not paying attention at all. And he says, he says, come in, sit down. The French have brought some cases of Bordeaux, and that was it. We were away. We were all of us like that, were meeting like old friends. And Alan's newsletter had done that before the age of social media with a typewriter and a computer. We remember when Alan first got a spell checker. What Alan's newsletter had done was to build a community of people. And I think the importance of that achievement has never really been formally recognised, and I would like to remedy that today. Alan, we wouldn't be here without what you did. What he did, in effect, was to turn a bunch of self-motivated individualists into a cohesive community. And that is quite an achievement. But communities, like families, can go through phases and growing pains, and sometimes families can end up divided and dysfunctional. The EME community has ventured down that road too. But looking at it now from a little way outside, I think the large majority have now drawn back and said, no, that isn't what we want. Because the one big thing that holds us together, our interest in moonbounce, is far more important than anything else. Because being united is very important today. As we'll hear as this conference goes on, there are many threats to the future of EME as we have known it. Many of those threats come from commercial interests outside of amateur radio, as we well know. But even inside amateur radio, our political situation is not good. It's not like it used to be. At one time, moonbouncers were automatically appreciated as the technical leading lights of amateur radio. The things we did were passed down into amateur radio, and they went down through VHF-DX, and who knows, they eventually got into rigs that everybody uses. It's a little bit like Formula One racing. But today, average radio amateurs no longer think of themselves as technical people. Some of them are actually quite scared of it, averse to it. And that includes a growing number of the people who represent us at international gatherings where frequencies are allocated and negotiate on our behalf. We can no longer rely, should I say, we can no longer rely on them automatically appreciating the value of EME to amateur radio in general. Today, if we want something, we're going to have to work for it. We're going to have to sell. And all the more so because EME has a very special need for coordinated, worldwide, and quiet frequencies. That's a very big thing for such a tiny number of people to ask. So we're going to have to work harder for it. And in order to do that, we have to close our ranks, appreciate that now there are a number of different branches within EME, all of which exist and have a right to exist, and we all need to start pulling in the same direction. If we fail to do that, we'll soon have no frequencies over which to argue. So, as I said, our common interest in EME is more important than anything else. We also need to reach out into the wider world of amateur radio and beyond to capitalise on some of the sense of wonder of sending signals to the moon and back. I don't have to tell any of you what it felt like to hear your first moon echoes. It's just utterly amazing. And I think what happens over the years is that we lose sight of that. You know, sort of, ho-hum, we press the key, we press enter, and it comes back, and it turns into routine. And if EME ever turns into routine, we've lost something, we're missing something, we've left something by the way. So if showing other people about literally the wonders of EME brings back our individual sense of wonder at what it is we're doing, that would be a very good thing indeed. Don't lose it. Don't ever lose that. Okay, right. So now, hey, I've still got the green light. Let's get started. We're all here together. We've all taken the trouble to come here into this one place, and for the next 2 days, we can promise you plenty of opportunities to take big steps forward in your own technical thinking and to do your part to support this very special EME community that we're all a part of. Okay, so now bring it on. Welcome to Cambridge. Welcome to EME 2012. Thank you.